the first video of the new year, and we're going to talk just a little bit about cortisol because I get a lot of emails, I've gotten several lately, about wanting to see your abs, right? They want belly fat to go away. And one of the things that can really contribute to belly fat is cortisol. And cortisol, I'm sure almost all of you know what cortisol is, but it's a steroid, a hormone in your body that naturally occurs, and it's really deemed the stress hormone, or the fight or flight hormone. Now, cortisol in itself isn't a bad thing, but it can easily turn bad if levels are too high for too long of a period of time. It's what your body perceives as stress. Okay, both physically and mentally. So you can mentally be feeling or perceiving stress, and that's going to release cortisol as well. So a quick little schematic here of a body, and then this is the brain. Down here, these little bean-shaped things are your kidneys, and then the little bumps on top of those are your adrenal glands, and then this here is your liver. Okay, so when your brain perceive stress, and that can either be emotional stress like relationships or work or job, that type of thing, or physical, danger, right? Something's coming at you, you need to move. Okay, all those are stress. So your brain perceives the stress and then sets in motion a series of mechanisms that will eventually release adrenaline and cortisol from your adrenal glands. So releasing adrenaline and cortisol from your kidneys will then quickly cause your liver to mobilize its fat stores, and that is put into your bloodstream as blood sugar, right? So the reason why you get this rush of blood sugar that's available in your body, and it's mobilized from your liver, is because your body says to itself, well, if we're under stress here, we're going to have to either fight or we're going to have to flee. So we're going to need energy to do that, right? Now, adrenaline does something different. That's the thing that kind of gets your senses alert and basically get your heart pumping and that type of thing. So we're not talking about that. We're just strictly talking about the cortisol, and its main job is to mobilize fat stores, mobilize energy so that you have it available quickly to use. Well, the problem is if you are under chronic stress, that you're not using that energy that's mobilized by the cortisol. It has to be redeposited, right? So you have stress in your body, your brain perceives it as stress, and it releases cortisol, right? And it says, okay, the cortisol goes up, releases energy from the liver, and you got all this free-floating blood sugar around, ready to use for energy, and you don't do anything with it. You sit and you stew, or you argue, or you're dealing with the stress, that type of thing. You don't have a release for that energy. Okay, so it's the bad kind of stress. So it has to get redeposited. Well, where does it get redeposited? Your belly. Why the belly? Well, because in your abdomen, the fat cells in your abdomen have up to 4 times the amount of receptors for cortisol than any other fat in your body. Which kind of makes sense if you think about it on an evolutionary scale, because if the fat stores in your belly are close to the liver, so your liver can then mobilize those fat stores and turn them into a usable source of energy. So it's a quick area to access to get energy from. So you did hear me say that cortisol is a good thing, as it exists in natural levels. So when is it naturally high? When does it naturally increase? Well, when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are going to be a little bit higher because you have essentially fasted all night, and so your body perceives that as a form of stress, a metabolic stress. After you work out, your body is going to have a little bit higher levels of cortisol because of the stress of actually working out. Now, that can be a good kind of stress because you are utilizing those energy sources that are released by the cortisol because you just exerted yourself and used them up, right? So that's a good thing. Then the other thing is some instances that you have randomly throughout the day that cause a little bit of adrenaline rush. So if you are driving down the road and someone cuts you off in traffic and you slam on your brakes and you get that little rush of, whew, I almost got in an accident. Well, that's a little bit of a cortisol boost as well. Unnatural levels of cortisol. How do you raise them? How do you contribute to raising your cortisol levels and therefore putting on belly fat or not seeing your abs? Well, there's several things. Chronic stress is probably the number one. Then another thing that contributes to that is going too long without food. So there's actually a good reason why eating every, snacking or eating every 3 hours is a good thing. Exercising for far too long without nutritionally supporting yourself, that's perceived as metabolic stress as well. And probably one of the most detrimental, other than chronic stress, is aggressive swings in your blood sugar based on what you eat. So, for example, here I have this little kind of a wave or roller coaster looking kind of thing, and you have ups and you have downs, and this dotted line in the middle is kind of where you'd want to aim to have your blood sugar. And when your blood sugar is nice and stable, your unnatural levels of cortisol become more natural, okay? So when you eat, depending upon what you eat, will determine how fast your blood sugar rises. The higher your blood sugar rises, the more your insulin has to kick in to counteract that blood sugar swing, right? Because the insulin's job is to get in there and pull the blood sugar out of your bloodstream so that your blood sugar levels return more to normal, okay? So when you do that, you create this real strong swing of insulin. And then the insulin rushes in there, grabs as much as it can, stuffs it away to bring your blood sugar back down to normal, but usually it overdoes it because you overdid it, picking a food that is causes your blood sugar to rise rapidly. Okay, something highly refined, highly processed, unclean food, right? So when that happens, when your insulin goes way up, then the counteraction of that is to have your blood sugar drop, which causes your body to perceive stress, okay? And then your cortisol and your adrenaline kick in. So when cortisol kicks in here and says, oh my gosh, blood sugar's gotten too low now, so we got to mobilize some blood sugar, and we're going to get it from the liver to get those levels back up again, okay? But when you do that, when your body does that, it doesn't know how much energy you're going to need because it doesn't know what kind of stress it is. So it says, we may not have enough here, so we're also going to cause you to be a little bit hungry so that you will add a little bit more energy as well. I mean, we can get it from the liver and we can mobilize some fat stores, but we also want you to put a little food in there too, right? So then you get kind of a craving for carbohydrates, right? Sugary foods, fatty foods, something that you can use as an energy source. So you get down here and your blood sugar drops, causes hunger, cortisol levels rise, causes hunger, and then you eat something that's probably a bad choice again, right? Which causes your blood sugar to rise way out of whack, causes insulin to kick in. So you got this roller coaster going up and down and up and down. And the outcome of that is an overall higher level of cortisol, which means that you're probably not utilizing all of that energy and it's going to get stored, okay? Because you can't use it all. You're not using it all. So it's going to get stored, and where's it going to get stored? A lot of it's going to be around the middle. Yeah, it's going to go other places too if you're just not working off the extra calories that you're taking in. But cortisol is really good at storing body fat right on top of those abs that you want to see so badly.